To design my client's photography business logo, I used Adobe Illustrator. The final logo sketch was used as a guide to trace its outline using the pen tool. Also, the fill, stroke, and gradient tool were used to modify the logo's color palette. Although a couple of changes had to be made to the original sketch, such as adding in an extra petal, designed from showing clear links between planning and production. Overall, it is evident an aesthetically pleasing logo was created as a result of effective research, planning, and idea generation. Clients' business cards were also designed using Adobe Illustrator. By using the type tool, rectangle tool, etc., I could generate different components that added value to the business card. Furthermore, by generating 3 possible color versions of the business card allows for a broader variety for my client to choose from, and thus resulting in both a convenient and professional final outcome. To animate my client's logo, I used Adobe Animate and created a motion speed animation, which saves time instead of using frame-by-frame animation. The problems encountered when making the logo complete a full rotation were overcome after adding additional keyframes at the halfway points of the animation to specify the angle of rotation of those frames. To make my client's website, I used Adobe Dreamweaver. To make the website loader, firstly inserted a couple of div tags where I specified the source of the GIF file and added a caption heading under it. After previewing the results, it was found that the animation would play on the loop and not stop. Thus, using JavaScript, I added a window load function with a 5-second delayed property, meaning the loader would play for 5 seconds only while the page is loading. To center the loader, I used CSS to define its position as fixed, as well as added animation properties to make the loader's caption blink infinitely. I also wrote a fading down property of 0.8 seconds to make the loader enter the screen in a smooth transition. The headings of the push start navigation were outlined in the HTML of each web page and linked to their corresponding section with a href property and a class named scroll2. Below this, social media icons were added using the EM tag, as well as their hyperlink using the A tag. The target property written as _blank allowed the hyperlinks to open a new tab in the browser when clicked. The aesthetics of the push start navigation menu was styled in CSS, as well as the color change of the section headings in the menu from white to light brown on hover. Coding the JavaScript functions of the site navigation was definitely the hardest due to the huge amount of code needed. However, I managed to make it work using a push and toggle function that made the menu button open the active site navigation to the right on click. Adobe Photoshop was used to crop, position, and resize the photographs using the website to their desired size. Here is also where the logo watermark was both created and placed on my client's photographs. These JPEG image files were exported with 72 dpi by selecting the Save for Web option in the file menu. This could prevent their file size from causing prolonged page loading times with low bandwidth. Writing the HTML code with the slideshow banner was straightforward and did not take too long, as it was simply a matter of inserting multiple div tags with a particular image and caption of each slide. In the CSS, I styled the banner's caption, including its size, color, position, and font. For the functions of the slideshow banner, I added a loop property in JavaScript set as true to allow the images to cycle repeatedly, as well as a transition speed property set to 15 seconds for each slide. Styling the aesthetics of the lightbox gallery was very time consuming due to all the different aspects that needed to be defined, such as the lightbox's position, size, color, cursor, arrows, close button, page numbers, and so on. Unfortunately, problems were experienced with the syntax when coding the JavaScript functions that prevented the feature from opening and closing when previewed live. Instead, only the image would open in a blank page without the CSS style properties already established. Therefore, to solve this, I decided to try and insert a getElementById function instead of the previous if and else condition properties. This worked effectively, and thus was able to open and close the lightbox gallery with all the visual aspects defined in the CSS, such as the arrows, dark background, and zoom out cursor. To create the website's contact form, I firstly added a field set tag. I inserted several div tags to create the text placeholders. Furthermore, by adding a span and input tag for each placeholder with their type set as text, I was able to define that they can be typed on by the user. Creating the PHP code for the contact form proved to be very complex and time-consuming. However, instead of using cheat sheets from tutorial web sources, I gathered knowledge from them and applied it to my code. After multiple tests, I found that PHP coding was much like JavaScript coding, in that they both contain similar if and else condition syntax. As a result of this, I gained confidence to keep going, and in the end, I managed to successfully code several if and else conditions, specifying that if the submit button is clicked, the else result of the condition will be the alert message to echo back. I also added a return condition that made it possible for the text placeholders to reset and the information in them to be sent to my client's email account once the message is submitted. Lastly, after testing the contact form's functions in the web server, I could prove its success in achieving its intent. Both the background music for this video and the website were edited using Adobe Audition. To allow for smooth transitions, I added fade in and fade out effects to the audio by holding down the Control key on the keyboard and dragging the fade in and fade out handle inward. To add the audio control buttons, I firstly defined them in the footer of the HTML using the button tag and ID property. In JavaScript, I defined the source of the MP3 file. Here, I set the audio to loop and a window add event listener function to load to ensure the music begins playing only when all content has loaded. The process of styling the buttons in the CSS got temporarily interrupted, as the images will not appear when previewed live. After additional tests, I solved the issue by specifying the button's background size and the outline and border as none, as well as adding a margin of 3 pixels to spread the buttons apart a bit. If and else conditions were also added to the script code to define that if the pause button is clicked, for example, the else result of the condition would be the audio pausing and the image changing into the play button image